Well, hello and welcome, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster. Welcome to another great show, the Helix Show with myself, and I have Dr. James Lee as my co-host today. James, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. I always enjoy doing this. We always have amazing conversations. So I'm looking forward to today.
Well, today we're calling the show Heal It with Unlocking the Power of Natural Hormone Balance. And, I think this is important because in the U.S. today, about 49% of the population says that they are stressed out, frequently stressed out, right? And, that stress is leading to all kinds of illness, of disease in, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual disease, all kinds of diseases happening. So I thought today we bring on a doctor that really knows about how to treat the adrenals, how to, what adrenal overload looks like, what it does to the body, what it does to the mind, and bring in some information so that our audience can really understand what's going on.
Yeah, when you talk about 49% of the people, that sounds low to me. I believe that as human beings, we're designed to live a life of stress. And now how we handle those stressors, it really defines or kind of dictates how our body is going to react and how it's going to recover and it's going to heal and in our health, in other words. So yeah, this is a huge thing in our lives.
Yeah. Well, it also says here that work-related stress affects about 83% of U.S. workers, and about 65% of them identify as significant stress sources. So, it's chronic. It's chronic in the U.S., and it's something that we need to talk about. And, it really, I want to talk about this in terms of wellness also. It's like, what can we do here to bring wellness in? And, for me, that all starts with daily meditation. That, there's a lot of different ways that people bring wellness into their world and bring awareness and expand their awareness. So we're going to be talking about that and so much more.
And I think it's all about altering the balance that our bodies see. There's the stress, there's the fight or flight part of the balance, and then there's the peace, joy, and happiness part of the balance. And I think the more we spend in the stress part of our life, the more our bodies are going to have trouble recovering and keeping ourselves healthy. Just because when our body's at war, it's not going to worry about building itself back.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. And part of that issue is, a lot of people dig their grave with what they put in their mouth, right? So, there's a balance in what you're eating. There's a balance in your lifestyle, with your exercise, your nutrition, your mindset. So we're going to be covering a lot of that today. And I don't want to steal the punch of my doctor, our guest here. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have Dr. Michael Platt with us today.
Excellent.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor or 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster, and today my guest is Dr. Michael Platt. Dr. Platt, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Glad to be here.
So for those of you that don't know Dr. Platt, he is a board certified in internal medicine. He maintains a practice in the Palm Desert area of California. He's devoted to wellness and the preventative approach to illness. He's known nationally and internationally for his innovative approach to natural hormone replacement. Wow. I got so many questions for you. I guess let me just start with, why did you focus on the hormone replacement? Let's just start there.
Well, it was after my mother died. My mother died of breast cancer. And right after she died, I realized that I had her hormones. Men and women have the identical hormones, different levels, but the same hormones. And I realized that she was low in progesterone because of the breast cancer. And I used to have to slap my face when I was driving, trying to keep my eyes open. And so I realized I had low blood sugars, and which meant too much insulin. And what's interesting is that I started using progesterone cream and never got sleepy again. So I realized that progesterone blocked insulin. So that's how I got involved with hormones. And I try to learn as much as I could.
Well, I love that. I'm getting ready to do a drive today from Phoenix, Arizona, over to San Diego, and I'm thinking about those times I get a little sleepy. I need to maybe rub some progesterone on me. I'm just saying. I don't know if that would work or not, but wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
No, and I find it interesting because, my interest in hormones goes back when I had a brain tumor. The part of my brain that was affected was the master gland, the pituitary. So I personally have an experience with how a hormone shift can really alter who you are, because a lot of how you think and what you want to do is altered or is filtered by the hormones that your body is being bathed in. As a man, I normally am being bathed in testosterone, and as a female, those levels are higher in estrogen and progesterone. And Dr. Platt is saying, yes, we all have those same hormones, but those levels are also very important. And when my pituitary is affected, it altered how I felt and how I reacted and what I did in life. So hormones are everything. And you learned it through sort of kind of like physician heal thyself. And that was my experience. You got to live it to really start to believe it and understand it. And I applaud you for going through that process and taking that next step and studying it and then kind of applying it to patients. How did you start doing that?
Well, I had the advantage of being able to spend a long time with my patients. And that's how you actually learn. His history is 90% of a diagnosis. And and over time, what I realized that a lot of them had the same kind of symptoms, and I realized just logically that they could only be related to excess adrenaline, and this is a hormone that everybody's heard of, but really nobody really understands.
What were these symptoms?
Well, anxiety,
okay,
anger, rage,
okay.
ADHD. There are so many conditions related to excess adrenaline, and this is something the medical system has really ignored. Nobody ever talks about adrenaline. Even a lot of people talk about anxiety, nobody talks about the cause of anxiety. And the only cause of anxiety is excess adrenaline.
Well, I have a question around. You started to describe adrenaline. I'm a lay person here, so you two doctors know about adrenaline, but I don't. And tell me, in lay person's term, what is adrenaline? What does it do? What's the function of it? What happens when I have too much or too less? That would be helpful for the audience.
Most people know of adrenaline as what they call the fight or flight hormone. And it is. When people are in danger, the body pours out adrenaline. But that's actually a very rare reason why the body needs adrenaline. What most people don't understand or realize is that the brain uses more sugar than any other tissue in the body. And anytime the body detects that the sugar level is going down in the brain, the body releases adrenaline to raise sugar levels. That's its primary function, is to make sure the brain has enough fuel. and people don't realize that. But the interesting thing is that when people use the brain for a lot of things, they're living on adrenaline. Then they don't realize that. Creative people have the most adrenaline there is. That and we'll talk about some of the conditions related to excess adrenaline.
Yeah, I had an interest in that, and I'm just wondering. Okay, so what my question is how does adrenaline contribute to some of the conditions like fibromyalgia? You mentioned anger earlier. I'm very curious as to how what the relationship is there.
um, Doctors in their training, one of the things that's missing is that they're not trained to treat the cause of illness, and unless you treat the cause of an illness, the illness will always be there, and doctors get no training in hormones, even though hormones control everything in the body. I mean, doctors are a little bit remiss, but this is all controlled by big pharma, who doesn't really want doctors to know how to how to get people well again. So so if people really want to be healthy, they have to become proactive, and they have to take care of their health to a large extent by themselves, because if they want to deal with the reason why they're not well, they have to deal with the cause. They have a thing called adrenal fatigue, you may have heard of, which is a non-existent condition. And again, it's all based on low cortisol levels when they do saliva testing. Well, the thing about adrenaline is that when people have a lot of adrenaline, it cuts off blood supply to certain areas of the body that are not needed for survival. And one of these areas that it cuts off blood supply to are the salivary glands, because they're not needed for survival. So because of that, hormones don't get into the saliva. So when they do a saliva test, they wind up with low levels of cortisol. If they did a blood test, they would find that the cortisol level is actually high. But I'm just saying, so because of these low cortisol levels in the saliva, they diagnose adrenal fatigue. But usually adrenal fatigue is really adrenaline dominance, too much adrenaline.
So talk about this concept of adrenaline dominance. Are you saying you could avoid this? There are ways that you can practically to do that. What's your thought on that?
Well, in my book, I talk about adrenaline and the reason why the body produces it. I talk about the conditions related to it, and then we'll talk about progesterone, which is a hormone that blocks adrenaline. So
interesting you talk about the concept of adrenaline being primarily used to control glucose, but also, I mean, as physicians, we know this, but just as to remind those of you out there, adrenaline also is an amplifier for any of our current feelings. Like adrenaline doesn't necessarily, like you said, end up in fight or flight. If you happen to be in an amorous mode, like you just got engaged, then you'll be thinking romantically. If someone just gave you the finger on the highway, you're going to be thinking violent thoughts with adrenaline. But now that you've reminded me that adrenaline is being used just to raise our blood sugar. What if we are low in blood sugar? Our bodies then respond to that by pumping out adrenaline, but we happen to at that time be it's stuck in traffic on the highway. Guess what? Our bodies are going to interpret that as maybe a little more angry than we should, and you're saying if we just prevented that with proper glucose levels in our blood, we can circumvent that entire process. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, it would certainly help. You can actually lower adrenaline in 24 hours. It doesn't take long to get better. You can get rid of road rage in 24 hours. You get rid of ADHD, which is all which is pure adrenaline, and people don't realize that. And you get rid of ADHD in 24 hours. Fibromyalgia takes anywhere from three days to 3 weeks. But so
in 24 hours, what's the magic pill then, Michael? What do we need to do? It just takes 1 day.
Well, it's a combination of providing the right fuel by eating correctly. Now, the brain uses two different fuels. One is glucose, and the best source of glucose or sugar for the brain are vegetables. And the reason for that is that vegetables don't produce a lot of insulin. The problem with insulin, it lowers blood sugar. So
it forces the sugar out of our blood and into our cells. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the other fuel, which is just as important, or maybe even more important, are ketones. And you can get ketones directly from coconut oil or something called MCT oil, which comes from coconut. So providing the vegetables, the coconut oil, the MCT oil will help a lot to lowering adrenaline. But the whole key is using progesterone cream. And which, a lot of people, including doctors, think that progesterone is a woman's hormone. It's not. Men and women, like I say, have the same hormones. Men stop making progesterone around the age of 50. And it's after the age of 50 that men start getting prostate cancer, because one of the benefits of progesterone is that it blocks estrogen. So here we have a hormone, progesterone, that blocks estrogen, or estradiol. It blocks insulin, and it blocks adrenaline. It blocks the three most toxic hormones that affect the body, and people know so little about it. But what's nice about progesterone, you can actually get it over the counter. You don't need a prescription for it. So,
I'm very curious, because I'm over 50, and nobody's ever suggested I do a progesterone cream. What would a man look for? What would you what would I look for? And,
okay, when it comes to progesterone, the strength is very important, because it comes in all sorts of different strengths. John Lee, who is known for being an expert on progesterone, said that people should, or women, he never recommended for men, but he said that women should use 2%, and that's 20 milligrams per pump. That's way too low. In order to block adrenaline, you need a 5% cream, and 5% is the exact strength you need to block adrenaline. So,
doctor, if I'm blocking adrenaline, a lot of guys go like, well, I need my adrenaline, I got to pump myself up. I got to go out and do my thing, right? So you're like, oh, well, 5% cream, am I going to turn into a cream puff? I mean, that's the question.
Hey, are you recommending the same dose for males as well?
Well, for males and for men and women, same dose, 5%.
5%. Okay, good. Listen, we got to take a break. This is I love this discussion.
Yes.
When we come back, I really want to take a deep dive into your new book, and how my audience can benefit from learning from you. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll take a deep dive into the book. Here we go.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. Guess what? They want your money and they can take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter right over here that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you right now. So what do? You fight back by letting our team of experts work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And hey, we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws, and we'll fight really hard to save your money. So, if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket. 5 minutes of your time right now can save you thousands of dollars. And the best part, it's a free call, so please call right now.
Welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster. We'll be back in just a minute with my co-host and my brilliant guest, Dr. Michael Platt. But first, I want to mention this to you, that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel there at youtube.com/@the-courage-network, youtube.com/@the-courage-network. You know, it's important to do that because not only will you not miss those shows, you'll also be able to pass those shows on to people that you care about and love. And so we hope you'll do that. All right, back to my guest, Dr. Michael Platt. All right, so you got this amazing new book out, and I'm going to put it on screen in a second here. Tell me a little bit about why you wrote that book and how my audience can benefit by reading
it. Well, I wrote the book because I felt that the world, needed to know about adrenaline. This is the only book ever written that talks about the connection between adrenaline and a lot of conditions. And it starts in early childhood. When babies have colic, that's caused by adrenaline. And knowing that, you can take some progesterone cream, rub it on the baby's belly, and it'll go away in about 5 minutes. Women that have babies that have colic are the ones that have a lot of kicking when the fetus is in the womb. So that's also adrenaline. Bedwetting in children is only caused by excess adrenaline. So people really need to.
Doctor, what's causing this excess adrenaline? What causes this?
Well, again, it's usually because the brain needs sugar. Athletes, their muscles use up a lot of sugar. So, but they're living on adrenaline. It's adrenaline that makes them excel in sports. Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword. But they should be aware that they need carbohydrates, vegetables, just to maintain all that sugar, especially, so I wrote the book to give people an understanding of how the body operates and why they have certain conditions that, are very bothersome. But what's nice about progesterone cream, it's an extremely safe hormone. If you give it to babies, you can give it to anybody. And there's, basically.
And let me ask you this: are all progesterone creams equal? I mean, are they all, processed the same way, pretty much? I mean, are some, higher standards or less standard? There's probably a lot of 5% creams out there. What should one look for when buying a progesterone cream? And
some progesterone creams have things added that are not necessary. But the most important thing is that you get the right strength. And like I say, 5% is the exact strength you need to block adrenaline.
And you're talking about prescription medication.
No,
this is compound.
No, this is over the counter. It's the same as you would get in a compounding pharmacy.
Okay. But it doesn't need to be freshly compounded. This is over the counter.
No, if people go to my website, I have 2 different types of 5% progesterone cream. They can get an idea when they see the ingredients of what you need and what you don't need. And then they get a 5% anywhere. Well, not anywhere, but whatever.
As certain compounding pharmacies would carry this 5%.
They would need a prescription.
Yes. Okay. So it is prescription for 5%.
Oh, it is. Yeah, but like I say, you can get it over the counter without a prescription. On my website. My website.
On your web. Okay. It's certain websites. Okay. All right.
So I think it's important. Let's put up the doctor's website.
Yes.
I think that you might want to check that out. So his website is plattwellness.com. You can go to plattwellness.com to get the progesterone cream. And
it took me by surprise a little bit. Normally you need a prescription for something like that. So
yeah, Yeah. Well, hey, let's hope it remains that way, that you don't need a prescription for the what we're talking about here. Dr. Platt, I have an interesting thought. I know this helps with things like fibromyalgia, ADHD. You said, the people that are stressed out, to calm them down a little bit, what have you. And I know you probably, do you take patients today? I mean, can people call you up and talk to you about this, or?
Well, I'm actually retired now.
Okay. But they can still go to your plattwellness.com and get some information there. Is that accurate?
A lot of information and a lot of progesterone.
Okay. Okay. Well, you've convinced me. What are the downside of taking progesterone? I mean, are there side effects? There is things that people need to watch out for?
There are basically little or no side effects, and they don't really have to look out for anything. It's a very safe hormone. When women are pregnant, their progesterone level goes to extremely high levels. So the body can tolerate a lot of progesterone. On the internet, they're always complaining about certain conditions. Some women complain about what they call an overactive bladder. That's adrenaline, and that's really easy to fix. Again, with adrenaline and eating correctly.
What about a man? I mean,
that was my question.
Yeah, I had to say, I know there's, prostate stuff is going on out there. Every man, what is it? 1 out of 3 men, are having prostate issues over the age of 60, something like that. It's a very high number. Does this relate to what we're talking about at all, or no?
Well, men don't start getting prostate problems till they stop making progesterone.
I find it hard to believe that progesterone in and of itself doesn't have some side effects. When I suffered my brain tumor, there we go. So I have a question for you, Michael, Dr. Platt. When I suffered a brain tumor a number of years ago in my pituitary, and it caused an imbalance in my hormones, and it shot up my pitocin, my oxytocin levels, and my testosterone levels fell. So it reversed some of my male-female hormones, and I will tell you that it definitely altered the way I thought, the way I felt, the way I interacted with people. So I mean, in terms of a side effect, there certainly was one there. There, other than calming the adrenaline, the adrenal glands, there must be some sort of perceived side effect, or at least one in perception, I would imagine. So have you seen that? Have you experienced that in any of your patients?
Well, not necessarily a side effect, but when people stop using it, they can have side effects. The other thing about progesterone is the drug of choice for brain swelling. So it would have been actually, when you had your brain tumor, if there was any swelling, it would have been indicated. Traumatic brain injuries, and doctors don't realize this. It's a really, and it's such a safe hormone.
And it also suggests at least one mechanism of action in terms of the mood changes for menopause. If you're talking about drops in levels of progesterone at the right time, it affects the adrenal levels, and it affects that whole pathway. So it's a very interesting theory.
All right, listen, I got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. You know, we're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now.
Hi, folks. Joe Namath here. Did you know that I wear hearing aids? I love my hearing aids, and I am here to help you get a deal on the same brand I wear.
Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get MD Hearing's revolutionary Neo hearing aids for just $297 a pair. The Neo is a true hearing aid, not an amplifier. With rechargeable technology many customers say is superior to more expensive models. And you can get 2 Neo hearing aids with a 45-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free lifetime US-based support for only $297. The Neo is nearly invisible with its tiny in-the-ear canal design.
Call my friends at MD Hearing and get the over-the-counter hearing aids that I use for you.
Call now and get not 1 but 2 Neo hearing aids for just $297.
800-789-7885. Again, that's 800-789-7885.
You know, Dr. Platt, I'm just wondering, how does your natural protocols differ from like traditional approaches to managing health conditions overall? What you know, you've been in this industry a long time, so I think it's a great question.
Well, one of the nice things about progesterone, it's such a safe hormone that you don't need to do a blood test. Usually you can tell if somebody has too much adrenaline just by talking to them. They'll usually carry a lot of tension in the back of their neck. They might be a little bit quick to anger. Have trouble focusing. And also, by the way, progesterone is good for dogs. You know, dogs have something, what they call separation anxiety.
Right.
Now remember, anxiety is caused by adrenaline. And so you can take progesterone cream and put it inside their ear because it's like skin, and it goes away in about 30 seconds. That's just an aside for if you're listening.
And the same goes for dogs?
Yeah, why not? It can't, like I say, you can't hurt somebody with it.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is all. I was going to say, this is all in your book.
There's also a mental side to this.
I don't remember if I talk about dogs, but I might. I might have it.
Okay. There's also a mental side to this. If somebody's been experiencing stressors, adrenaline, over adrenaline in their system for a period of time, I mean, they're thinking a certain way, and even if this goes away quickly, by applying the cream, I'm wondering how long it takes for the mental side to shift. James, what's your hint on that as we?
I'm fascinated that it can work that quickly. I think this would be if this is in fact if it's, I mean, not that I disbelieve it, but this could revolutionize how we approach certain anxiety issues. I'm personally fascinated. Is this all kind of anecdotal in the book? Do you talk about stories that you?
Oh yeah,
that you've taken through? Yeah,
let's talk about those stories. I think you got a couple of stories of people that have gone through this. Can you share one or two of those with us, Dr. Platt?
Yeah, well, I had a fellow who came in, and the reason he came to see me is because every morning he would wake up and vomit. And what's interesting about that, the only thing that can cause that is excess adrenaline. Women that vomit throughout their entire pregnancy, they call it hyperemesis gravidarum. Again, that's also caused by excess adrenaline. So in any event, the he would wake up and vomit, and he had severe fibromyalgia, which is not surprising because he had a lot of adrenaline. So, I put some progesterone cream on the inside of his arms, and he rubbed his arms together, and he sat back, and we continued talking. And after about 5 minutes, he looked at me and he said, "Doc, in my entire life, I have never felt this good." That's after 5 minutes of progesterone cream, and he never had another episode. Oh,
Yeah. Now, I'm so sad with it, and I think of all the people that are suffering out there, doctor, and that don't know this information. And, they're being treated for fibromyalgia, ADHD, things, anger and all this in a lot of different ways. And yet what you're suggesting is that there is a way for them to really heal this very quickly. And I think that is profound information that I haven't come across. James, have you come across this in your research?
This is frankly very eye-opening. All of this is medically sound. It makes absolute sense. We're in this modern world. We're worried. We're kind of concentrating on our reaction to stressors, but this would alter our perception of the stressor itself. I mean, it would prevent a lot of the miscommunications of our brain, for example. So I find this fascinating. I'm definitely going to do more research in this.
Women that do have what's called an overactive bladder can wind up having another condition called chronic interstitial cystitis, and this condition is considered incurable. And I had a patient, a woman that came to me who had interstitial cystitis. So I asked her if she wanted to get rid of it, and she looked at me, and she said, I've been to doctors all over the world to try to get this condition, and she said, if you get rid of this, you'll be my miracle doctor. Anyway, the upshot of the whole thing, about 3 weeks after I saw her, and she got back in touch with me. She actually gave me a very nice gift, and she said, "You are my miracle doctor." But it's not like that. That's why it's so important to treat the cause of an illness, and so many people are unaware, including doctors, that adrenaline is the underlying cause of a lot of conditions. Even cold hands and cold feet are caused by adrenaline. Irritable bowel syndrome is caused by excess adrenaline. So anyway, the reason I wrote the book was to let people understand that there might be some help out there for them.
Yeah. Well, I know from my point of view, I'm going to put the book up on the screen again. From my point of view, I can hardly wait to read this book and take a deep dive into it because, again, there's so many people suffering out there that it just makes sense when we have something that is medically sound and something that can really help the masses heal these issues. So everybody, the book out there for my listening audience is called Adrenaline Dominance. You can get it on Amazon. It's Michael E. Platt, MD. And, I hope you'll check it out because it sounds like something we all need to research here and, take it to the next level. All right. So, Dr. James, what you're blown away. I know
I had one more question. I was very curious. For females that are on replacement hormones, would you recommend going higher on the progesterone replacement? Is that something that you've been doing in the past, or?
Most of these females that you talk about are on an oral type progesterone like Prometrium. Now, oral progesterone is something I never recommend. And because it converts into a different hormone called allopregnanolone. So to me, oral progesterone is not progesterone. It's a different hormone. And so I don't recommend it. I just want people to understand. Now, the other thing is that people need to realize that adrenaline peaks at 2:30 in the morning.
It's also interesting that's when it coincides with most people with chronic pain, that's when they wake up. That reminds me, 2:30, 3 o'clock every morning is when I woke up with neck pain. So
chronic pain, you wake up too.
you wake up at 2 or 3 in the
So,
morning.
so that's why it's important, in situations like that, to use progesterone before you go to sleep, and to eat something like some leftover vegetables from dinner.
And why the importance of vegetables and carbohydrate? Carbs,
It's just
rice. So why vegetables?
because they don't produce a lot of insulin.
You don't produce insulin as a result of eating vegetables.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the other thing people realize that if adrenaline is peaking at 2:30 in the morning, it's releasing sugar. It's raising sugar levels, and when the body releases adrenaline, it creates stress, and the body responds to stress by putting out cortisol. And the first thing cortisol does, it also raises sugar levels by a different process. So now there are two hormones that create sugar being raised while people are sleeping. And the whole thing about sugar, it doesn't matter if you're eating sugar or making sugar, if you don't burn it up, all that excess sugar goes into your fat cells.
Essentially, what you're recommending is eating something light before going to sleep so that you don't have to get hungry and eat more waking up, I think, is if you do wake up.
Yeah. So
what I was saying is, if you did eat something a little bit light, some vegetables before going to sleep, that would prevent waking up, going to the bathroom, or waking up and being hungry and eating at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Waking up in general, you're saying you might not even wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock.
Right.
Okay, now this is a fascinating conversation, and again, I think I'm going to put that book on the screen. You want my audience to go over there. Adrenaline Dominance is the name of the book. It's Dr. Michael E. Platt, MD. That's where you can see the book, and I hope you'll check it out. We're just about out of time, Dr. Platt. Any final thoughts here for my audience around this? And because here's what I think. This has huge implications for the pharmaceutical industry. I don't think they want you telling people about this stuff. I just think that this can really impact people's, pharmaceutical industry's purse strings in a negative way. I'd like, as we close the show, I'd like you to comment on that for 1 minute, and then we'll close.
Big pharma controls medicine, and you're right. They would not like this book. Makes me angry.
All right. Well, listen, if you've had enough of Big Pharma, then I guess it's time to get Dr. Michael Platt's book and see how you can really heal your life. One of the reasons I brought you on the show, Dr. Platt, is because you get the cause. This show is all about getting the cause. So we're not just treating symptoms. Get the cause, learn what the cause is, and then we can heal the body, heal the mind, heal the soul, heal the spirit. You can heal it all if you get to the cause. That's my message. Final thoughts, Doctor?
Yeah. I got to say that I applaud you for going down the path, and I think that really your health is your responsibility, and anyone who wants to get healthier has to start by informing themselves, by educating themselves. Dr. Platt has just taken it to the next level. So I'd say I'm certainly my interest is piqued. I'm going to do more research in this because it does make sense. He makes a lot of good points, and I think that the direction you've gone is an amazing one. So thank you, Dr. Platt.
Okay, and if people want to know where to put the progesterone cream,
yeah,
the inner forearms are good. Also, the back of the neck is a good place if you have a lot of tension there. And some people get what they think are migraine headaches, but it's really occipital neuritis. And every patient that I've seen who thought they had a migraine had occipital neuritis. And this goes away immediately using progesterone cream. So, again, just a little aside.
Yeah. Something as simple as tense muscles, preventing blood flow, and you're right. Simple.
Wow. Well, we're gonna have to have Dr. Platt back on the show because this is fast. Just scratching the surface here. So, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure.
Fascinating.
Thank you, Dr. James, for being co-host again today, and thank my audience for being here. I want to remind my audience to please go over to the YouTube channel and go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to the Courage YouTube.com at the Courage Network. You can subscribe and find out all about what we're doing on all of our shows. Till next time,